There's some very interesting space games heading this way. Whether you like full-on space sims, combat, or something a little more chill such as mining, there should be something here for you. So here's a look at some titles that will be arriving over the next while. And I don't ask this very often, but if you enjoy this video, please do consider liking and subscribing. Now here's a space game I'm very interested in. It's called Remnant Protocol and it's a spaceflight simulation which the developers compared to a cross between a TIE Fighter and XCOM, so very intriguing to say the least. Now Remnant Protocol thrusts players into the cockpit of a fighter pilot and it offers a tactile old school experience, and if you look at the footage here, some of you will probably notice the various influences. They seem to come from the golden age of flight simulators and space simulators. So the game's aesthetics really do avoid some of the modern high-tech interfaces, instead featuring tactile gauges and cockpit displays, and these require players to take their eyes off the action to monitor their ship's status, and I really do like the influence here. I like these visual aesthetics. It's a design choice that aims to capture the nostalgia and feel of classic space combat games. Now, whilst the developer does mention an influence here from XCOM, you won't ever find yourself going out there on a grid and getting involved in turn-based combat. Instead, everything takes place from inside the cockpit of your ship. It's just that XCOM type influence of going out and achieving specific goals for an overarching campaign is very much present here. It means that Remnant Protocol is more than just a flight sim or more than just a space sim. It incorporates a robust strategy layer where players manage a galactic rebellion against an oppressive empire. Now, as the commander of Sanctuary, a hidden rebel base, players must take critical decisions on resource allocation, ship construction, espionage, and recruitment. The strategic element extends to managing a limited pool of resources and personnel, with each decision impacting the broader war effort against the usurpers, who basically are the player's enemies. Now, the game itself, the narrative is set generations after the assassination of the Blessed Mother, and that plunges the galaxy into complete turmoil. Players lead the Remnant forces in a guerrilla war, aiming to overthrow the usurpers through acts of sabotage and subterfuge, and this dynamic storyline is influenced by player choices with procedurally generated missions, ensuring that no two playthroughs are ever the same. At least that is the claim. Now, one of the game's standout features that the devs are hoping will be a standout features is its permadeath system. Pilots in Remnant Protocol are named characters with their own skill progression, and if a player dies in battle, they are lost forever, adding to a layer of emotional investment into the game. And players of the XCOM series will be very familiar with this when you lose some of your best loved characters and crew members or squad members. Now, players must also manage the base's resources carefully, as damaged ships require time and resources to repair, affecting subsequent missions. The studio behind the game, Progenitor Game Studios, put the whole concept back on Kickstarter a short while ago. Now, the game was fully funded. There's a whole load of information there if you want to check it out. The visuals do show that the game does seem to have made good progress up to this point, and it turns out that even more recently the game hasn't attracted a publisher, and this is good news for the game. It means the game is certainly going to be well funded and hopefully should lead to good development for the game. Now, at the moment, the developer hasn't, or the publisher rather, hasn't been announced. There's no name for that, but the developer does claim it's one of the larger publishers. So theoretically, at least, this should be good news for the security of the game. Now, currently, the Steam page does show a release date of 2024, so hopefully it won't be too long until we actually get hands-on with this. Now, another very interesting upcoming game is called In the Black. Some of you may recognise this title more as Starfighter Inc., which is what its working title was called previously. Now, this game is being developed by Impeller Studios. It's another game that did go to Kickstarter and had good success there. This is a science fiction multiplayer game which places players in the cockpit of advanced nuclear-powered spacecraft. And yes, this is very much an intense multiplayer combat game. I have had access to this game and hopefully should be bringing you a video on this in more detail very soon. The game does focus on 3 versus 3 PvP multiplayer missions, and it demands some really strategic and coordinated expertise. Players can specialise in various roles such as pilot, weapon system officer, electronic warfare officer and drone operator, and each role requires different skills and offers unique gameplay experiences. The game prides itself on scientific accuracy, with spacecraft and combat mechanics designed based on consultations, apparently, with aerospace engineers and scientists. Now, as you can see from the video clips, combat in the Black is visceral and unforgiving. The game features component-based damage, meaning that every hit can impair your ship's systems, affecting performance and your overall strategy. Auto-repair systems offer temporary fixes, but managing damage effectively is key to survival and success in battle. Now, customization is the cornerstone of the game. Players can modify their ships with various configurations, payloads, and technological upgrades. Additionally, personalizing the appearance of your ship with custom paint jobs and insignia will add a little touch there to really make players feel as though their ship is their own. The game's narrative is all player-driven, with mission outcomes influencing the evolving storyline. And this approach really does allow players to shape corporate power struggles within the game, as well as the politics of the overall universe. Now, for those seeking an even more, if you want to really drop in and have an immersive experience, the game does support VR hardware, so you should be good to go there, especially if VR is your thing. Now, the game does have some pretty significant talent behind it. There's some industry veterans here that have experience with very well-known games such as MechWarrior 2, Far Cry, Crysis, as well as the X-Wing and TIE Fighter series. Now, unfortunately, the game doesn't have a release date just yet. Steam page shows as coming soon, so it may be a little bit of a while until we actually get full-on hands-on with this one. But for the moment at least, it's all looking very interesting. In Planet Prospector, humanity's reach has extended to the stars, and players find themselves at the forefront of a massive colonization effort on New Terra, Earth's sister planet. Now, this open-world space game is all about building supplies, mining resources, and exploring new frontiers. The game boasts a unique physical cargo system where every piece of cargo is a tangible container that must be loaded into ships. Well, I say unique, but I think other games do that, such as Star Citizen, at least it's trying. At any rate, the cargo needs to be transported and carefully unloaded at the designated drop pads. So the fact that the cargo is hands-on will certainly add to some realism for the game. Now, the game features full-scale planets and moons, allowing for seamless transitions both between space and the surface for exploration and just about anything else. Players can manually input jump distances to travel, requiring precise navigation to avoid obstacles and ensure safe landings. There's also a variety of ships that are available, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, and players will really have to choose which ship they want to suit their playstyle or their particular chosen activity. And whether that comes down to piloting cargo runners or bulky mining ships, each vessel brings a unique gameplay experience. And mining is of course a crucial aspect to the game, involving the location of ore nodes, calling in processing ships, and extracting these resources for profit. There's plenty of points of interest scattered across New Terra, which provide opportunities for picking up and delivering cargo. And ultimately, the aim seems to be here to deliver somewhat of a changing and dynamic environment. The game also supports Track IR for head tracking, which is always a nice feature when it comes to space games and pretty much anything where you're sitting inside a cockpit. Now, as said, yep, the game does have an ambitious roadmap, and planned features include full joystick support, so that means hopefully you'll be able to use your HOTA system. There's going to be cooperative multiplayer in there as well, an expanded roster of ships, they say, and potential for capital ship ownership as well. Combat mechanics and exploration of multiple star systems are also on the horizon, and ultimately this really should promise to be a comprehensive space game and an adventure to boot. Currently it's in very early development, there's no way to get hands-on with it just yet. Planet Prospector will soon be available on Steam under early access, and this should give players plenty of insight as to what to expect from the game. Sticking with the theme of resources, Age of Space introduces players to a 3D universe where real-time resource management intertwines with tactical combat. So, stepping into the role of an interplanetary mercenary, players navigate the volatile power struggle between the formidable United Earth Alliance and the insurgent Martian rebels. So this really is one of those situations that invites players to grow their power by aligning with one of the two factions to influence the ultimate future of the solar system. Now, central to the gameplay is the development of a mining outpost. Players gather resources in real time, expand their facilities, and unlock cutting-edge technologies from the debris of defeated foes. Customization is key as players build massive warships in their shipyard, tailoring their fleets to strategic needs. The star map offers various different missions, allowing players to fight pirates for glory and riches or embrace a life of an outlaw. Now, ship customization is going to be a thing, and there should be a variety of different sizes of vessels as well as different functions, and each ship boasts unique bonuses and comes with 3 sets of hardpoints for installing modules and weapons. Character development is another cornerstone of Age of Space. Players evolve their captains, transforming them into commanders of their vessels really, and these captains gain experience. They unlock different abilities that will really help them fly the various different ships, from tactical cruisers to colossal motherships. Now, combat in Age of Space is of the strategic variety. It's set in instance-based scenarios where players design their fleets and execute their strategies. Players maneuver their ships in 3 dimensions from a third-person perspective, so you're not actually fully on flying these from inside the cockpit, but that can still make for very interesting gameplay. While the rest of the fleet is controlled by AI, friends, or a combination of both. The game offers different types of contracts, each presenting unique challenges and requiring adaptive tactics. Multiplayer gameplay is there as well, which will allow players to join forces with up to 3 friends, coordinating their strategies to tackle missions cooperatively. So yeah, it really does seem that Age of Space is going to be a bit of a hybrid of some of the other types of games we've seen before, with its focus on resource management as well as tactical combat. Very interesting and keen to see where this one actually heads. So there we have it, a selection of space games upcoming that hopefully are going to be pretty interesting as well as enjoyable. So thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. There is another video on the screen right here that you can check out if you so wish. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you next time.